Section 4.4, factoring trinomials in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so recall multiplying a binomial. You used FOIL. So you had some two terms and you multiplied them out and you got something like this. Well, to factor, we're going to take the starting point here of our answer and try to work our way back to our starting point. That is factoring. We're trying to come up with these two factors that when we multiply them produce our starting point, our trinomial. To factor, we would undo the multiplication and work back up to what you started with. So there's a way, there's helpful pieces that we can use so that we can be able to factor. So let's take a look at this example. Factor x squared plus 10x plus 21. We want to come up with factors that give you your C. So pairs of factors that give you 21 that add up to give you a middle term, B. So what numbers can I think that multiply give me 21, but add to give me 10? So I can get 21 from 3 times 7 and 1 times 21. But we see that 3 times 7, if I write it as 3 plus 7, it gives me 10, which is my middle term. So those are the numbers that I need. So because we have an x squared, this would factor to be, we take that 3 and 7, positive 3 and positive 7. So those two, if I were to FOIL, would give me back to here. You have done it. This is factoring, and that's the entire section. So if you're okay with this, you can move on. But if you want to see more examples, let's continue. So here's another example, and I included this box too. So we want to find factors, numbers that multiply to give you 20, but I want those same factors so that when I add them, give me negative 12. Now, how can I get two numbers to multiply to result in a positive, so when I add them, result in a negative? Well, I have to make sure that both of them are negative when we multiply them, because we know a negative times a negative will result in a positive. And if I add those two negatives, it'll result in a negative. Okay, so what two numbers give me 20? So I know 4 times 5, 2 times 10, and 1 times 20. Which one, when I add them, gives me 12? Well, this one, right? Negative 2 plus 10, negative 10, gives me negative 12. So negative 2 and negative 10 are numbers. So this polynomial, when we factor, would be x minus 2 and x minus 10. Those are our factors. And that's our answer. We have factored this trinomial. Constant term negative. When the constant term of a trinomial is negative, we look for two factors whose product is negative. One of them must be positive and the other is negative. The sum of the coefficient is the middle term. So same idea. I want to think of factors that when I multiply them, give me negative 20, but in such a way that when I add them, it gives me a middle term. In this case, it's negative 1. All right, if I'm multiplying to get a negative, I need one of them to be a positive and the other to be a negative, because a positive times a negative is a negative. And if I'm adding them, if I want it to be negative, then my negative better be bigger, because that will save that negative sign. So we can get 20 from 4 times 5, 2 times 10, and 1 times 20. We want the bigger one to be negative. So let's add them. 4 plus negative 5 gives me negative 1. Okay, we have our winner, 4 and 5. So we want negative 5 and 4. Notice that negative 4 or negative 5 plus 4 gives negative 1, and those same two numbers multiplied give me negative 20. So my answer to this problem, we have an x squared, so I'll have x, and I'll keep that 4 and negative 5. So positive 4 and negative 5. These are our factors. Now, next example. You don't always have to do a table listing all your charts. What I do, and the way I learned it way back when, was to do a little X thing. And I don't know if you might find it helpful if you've seen it before. And on the top, I want to write my C, your last term. And in the middle, on the bottom, we want to write our middle term, our B. So my last term, so it's always A, B, C. My C is 4 and my B is 2. What two numbers can I multiply? So when I add them, I get 2, but when I multiply them, I get 4. So you want to multiply to get 4, and you want to add to get 2. I can't think of any. I know 2 and 1 won't work. And 4, well, we want them to get to be 4. So 2 and 2 gives me 4, but doesn't add to be 2. And 1 times 4 doesn't work either. So when that's the case, you can always write prime. We can factor it. To factor, x squared plus bx plus c. So that would be x squared plus bx plus c. First, arrange in descending order. Second, use trial and error to produce what looks for a factors of c whose sum is b. If c is positive, then the signs of the factors are the same as the sign is b. If c is negative, then one of the factors will be positive and the other is negative. If the sum of the two factors is opposite of b, changing the signs of each factor will give the desired factors whose sum is b. Check results by multiplying. So let's do these two examples. Let's start with our last one. So we need to rearrange them so that they are in descending order, which would give me negative x squared plus 2x plus 24. Let's factor out a negative so that we don't have that negative in the beginning, which gives me x squared minus 2x minus 24. Okay, we're going to focus on those, what's in the parentheses. So again, I want to think, what numbers multiply to give me negative 24, but add to give me negative 2? So multiply and add. So I know 6 and 4 will work. I need one of them to be negative, and I want it to add to be a negative 2. So negative 6 plus negative 4 will do the work. So we have x minus 6 and x plus 4. Don't forget the negative you factored out. And that is our answer. Okay, back to our second to last problem. We want to factor, and we see we have terms. We have an x squared and a y. So this will factor to be a x with a y and an x with a y. Okay, let's see what numbers we'll work with. So what numbers multiply to give me negative 28, but add to give you negative 3? Well, I know 7 and 4 will work. 7 times 4 is 28. I want to keep the negative, so let's make the larger number a negative. Negative 7 times 4 is negative 28, and negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. So we write a minus 7 and a plus 4. Now this is weird, so we can always go ahead, this is our answer, we can always go ahead and FOIL to make sure. So x times x, we're checking now. That's our answer. To check, we get x times x, which is x squared, x times 4xy, which gives me 4xy, 7, negative 7xy, and negative 7 times 4 gives me negative 28y squared. So then we're left with x squared, combined like terms, minus 3xy minus 28y squared. It checks out. All right, that is it for this section. This was 4.4, factoring trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c.